Okay, good morning. Welcome to Tuesday morning live Q&A with the Pharmacist. I am Dr. Sarah Morrissey. I am a pharmacist that works at Moses Lake Professional Pharmacy, where we do bioidentical hormone replacement. We are a specialty compounding pharmacy, and we really don't believe in using medications for long-term disease because we believe in getting to the root of the issue, right? We believe in our sleep, we believe in diet, we believe in exercise, and combining all good things in order to live life with the most vitality. So, I am honored to be able to be here every Tuesday morning, 9 a.m., streaming from wherever I may be. And so I look forward to getting some questions from the audience. I know I've had a few trickle in over the week. For those of you that aren't able to catch the show at 9 a.m. on Tuesdays, but we are here. And all right, first question of the day. How much sleep should we get per night? Okay, great question. How much sleep do you get per night? I aim for 7 to 9 hours every night. 8 is obviously that sweet spot, so they say, but 7 to 9 hours per night is ideal. It allows our body to get into all of the sleep cycles that we need. We also want to make sure we're getting about 90 minutes each of, say, the REM and the deep sleep. That's very important. Trying to be in bed before 10 p.m. Because that 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. hour, or that 4-hour stretch, is really important for our deep sleep. And there are so many rabbit holes we can go down on that. And I have not done all of that, but I know that 7 to 9 hours of sleep is definitely the best. It allows our body to renew itself every night, right? The human body is an amazing, amazing entity. And all the body ever really wants to do is feel its best, right? And so it is constantly trying to heal itself. And that kind of leads into, why do we have symptoms? And so if we think about when we have a runny nose or when we have a headache or anything like that, that is our body trying to do its job, and it is telling us, hey, something isn't right. And so and quite often a lot of those things come from lack of sleep. So if we are honoring our body, if we are giving it the opportunity to sleep, and guess what? Sleep is free. Sleep does not cost money. Sleep costs you time, and it is the best time that you can give yourself. And so the old adage of, I can sleep when I'm dead, because yes, I've told myself that, and I've told others that numerous times. There's a lot of us that, oh, well, I can sleep when I'm dead. Well, guess what? You're going to be dead sooner than you think, because the body cannot survive without sleep. And so that is very, very important. And so what if someone is a night shift worker and their health is declining? Get a new job. That is a harsh reality, because a lot of people love their night shifts and all the rest of it. But you are battling with the body's natural circadian rhythm. So I highly encourage people to look up what the circadian rhythm is and how we can honor that the best. And so it is very, very important in that respect. And, I don't want to tell people, well, don't work, but honestly, work to find another job, and yes, we will die without sleep before we die without anything else. So honor your body, try and find jobs that, complement what you love first and foremost. So that can go into the side where I am loving what I'm doing right now. There was a lot of years being a retail pharmacist that I had to really work to feel like I actually helped somebody that day. And it was really hard as the years went on with having to do more with less, and the fact that we would have to, we didn't get to go out as much as we wanted as the pharmacist to go and help people out in the aisles, to go and help and give the suggestions, because that's where I really loved my job, was out there helping people. Yes, and honestly, for all the years that I was a pharmacist, I don't know how many people I told, this isn't going to solve the problem, but this might get you through this moment in time, right? And so that was when I felt, I guess, the most fulfilled in my job, was when I was able to get out there and help people learn a little bit more about their body, and learn to get the better nourishment, realize that what your body is trying to tell you as a symptom, it's your body really just screaming for help. And so, and what's really cool now is that the science and the labs and all the things that are out there, we're now able to learn so much more about our body than what we were able to learn 20 years ago. And so it's really cool to know that we can figure out where the imbalances are. I guess a lot easier than what we used to, and it's a little more plain sight for people. So yeah, once again, sleep is the most important. It's how our brain takes a bath when we sleep. And so it's just so important. So yeah, thank you for that question. Ashley, we got another one. How do we help someone who has no issues going to sleep, but is consistently waking up between 1 and 3 every morning and unable to fall back asleep? Okay, who out there wakes up between 1 and 3 in the morning and can't go back to sleep? There's a lot of people out there. I actually just had this conversation with my father. And so a lot of that has to do with what we do leading up to before we go to sleep. And so there's something going on within the body that happens while we sleep, right? And so it will, there's a few things that it could be, right? So there really, once again, everybody's individual. So is it your blood sugars that are changing? Is it your sleep patterns that are changing? Is your cortisol levels changing? And yes, they are all tied together. So one of the things that we can focus on doing is making sure we're not eating at least 2 to 3 hours before we want to be asleep. Okay, so that allows our body a nice break, and so that we can get into the parasympathetic mode. The other thing is paying attention to what we're consuming before we go to bed, right? And so, because who loves sweets at the end of the day? I mean, pick me, right? Like, I love them, but they do zero favors for my sleep. And so just being aware of what we're consuming, making sure you're getting a good protein and some fiber. And if you're going to have a carbohydrate, make it nature's carbs, right? Make it fruits, vegetables, things like that. And that way, A, your body knows how to digest it. B, you're helping your microbiome in your gut. And, and that's just a couple of helpful tips there. So, and I know there's still even more answers, right? Like, are our hormones fluctuating? Is our thyroid balanced? I mean, there are a lot of things out there that can affect waking up in the middle of the night. So all things to definitely ask your provider about. However, a lot of them may not know really where to go or what to do. And so that's why there's a lot of people like me out there doing the integrative health. And, we can certainly look into things and hone in on the why that's happening to you, right? And so I highly recommend people do a food journal, even just for a few days, even one day a week, and not from a judgmental standpoint, right? Like, let's just, no judgment. Okay, this is what I consumed today, and how do you feel the next day, right? Like, it's just being honest with yourself is very important so that you can find out what makes your body feel good, what makes it feel bad. Because when we learn exactly what makes it feel horrible, maybe we will start to decrease consuming those things, right? Starting with seed oils, starting with refined foods, anything in a package, right? Getting rid of those things in your life will drastically improve your sleep. Getting rid of alcohol, that will make a huge difference on your sleep. I know lots of people out there use alcohol. Oh, I'm just going to have a nightcap, right? It's just, well, it's a neurotoxin, and it messes with your blood sugar, and it makes your liver work really hard, right? Those are not things that are conducive to good quality sleep. Yep, it might knock you down and, let you go to sleep, but it's doing your body no favors, right? And we need to help out our liver as much as possible, because our liver is like the main motor, right? Yes, we've got the gut, the brain, and all, everything is connected. But just like your car, if your fuel filters are completely clogged, it is not running very efficiently, and eventually the motor blows, right? And so not only is this a public service announcement to go get your car checked on, your liver is like your check engine light, right? When you've got, when you get your yearly blood work, I highly encourage people to get their yearly blood work. Whether you feel great or whether you feel horrible, you need to be getting your yearly blood work so that you have your own baseline, whatever that is, right? You know what your baseline is from year to year, and you can start to see those patterns. You can see those patterns in how you're feeling, how you're sleeping, how you're moving, and then your body will reflect that as well. And so all important things, right? And so, which kind of ties into a couple of when I went to the check engine light, right? I think when I hear the check engine light of your body, your liver enzymes are those things, right? When your liver enzymes, and that's your ALT and AST, those are the most common ones. Yes, there's an ALP and a GGT and, a few other markers out there. But just as far as your most common markers for your liver function, the AST and ALT are the two big ones. So when they are elevated, they let us know that, hey, the liver is under stress. The liver is not working optimally. Does it mean you have liver disease? No. But your check engine light is on, and you need to start addressing why your liver is working so hard. And so, all things to have discussions with your providers with, but it's important. And so how do we help our bodies? How do we help our livers? Once again, going back to what we consume, right? Allowing the liver to do its job properly. Honestly, I prefer to do what we call a functional medicine detox, right? So we give it some nice gentle herbs and things like that to help with how the liver is working. But great question, Sean, because I was just looking into the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So but yeah, so going back to, your whole foods, foods that contain sulfur, a lot of sulfur in them, such as your broccolis and your berries and your greens and your parsleys and stuff like that. Those are just natural enzymes to help your body and help your liver work so much better in the form of digestion. So basically, the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, right? gosh, there was a gal that I worked with, a couple years ago. She's like, I've got this. And I'm like, that doesn't sound awesome. And she's like, well, I don't even drink and all this. But what else did she do? She smoked cigarettes. She consumed energy drinks. When she wasn't smoking a cigarette, she was vaping. And so those right there, those are like 3 of the biggest things that contribute to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And because all of those things are loaded with so many chemicals, and they just, right? And so, and it brings the fat, right? Because fat will bind to toxins, right? Like toxins get sucked into our little adipose cells and they just stay there, right? And the more toxins, and why? Because that is our body's way of trying to help us, right? That is our body's way of trying to save us, right? Just like a few other things where we encapsulate the bad guys and hold on to them, so that the body can hopefully eventually get rid of them. And so hopefully we don't poke and prod at those things and make them worse. So, but yeah, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, it's where the fat accumulates in the liver. And so it's steatosis, you're going to hear a few different names there. And then there's the hepatitis version of it. And that's when we do actually start getting the liver cell damage, right? So we need to be careful about all of those things. So once again, going back to the importance of annual blood work to keep an eye on our check engine light. And so all important things there. Things that we can do to help the liver. When we wake up in the mornings, you don't just hammer down lots of heavy food. Do not hammer down some coffee first thing in the morning, right? Liquid before lunch is a good kind of saying to think, because if we go back to like Ayurvedic times and just how to gently ease the body into the day, right? We wake up with the sunlight, we start getting our body moving, we go into the day, we ramp up, we work hard, we do all the things, and then we come back down and get ready for rest. And so if we think about honoring our body and honoring our digestive system that way, it's a nice, gentle way to help out the liver, right? The more we help the liver, the better our body feels. And so very, very important things there. Other things that are contributing factors to the, if we want to look at, contributing factors, I guess would be one way of saying it. Your BMI, right? I know a lot of people don't like the BMI, is it totally accurate? Well, not really, but at the same time, it is a good starting point to know where you're at for your health. Getting into the ideal BMI ranges, I don't know the perfect numbers on that. I'm going to say less than the BMI of say 25 to 27, right? But what that means is that how proportionate is your body to your height, right? So, and it's based off of the weight. It's a weight to height ratio. And guess what? If you're in a high BMI, no matter how much you love your body or whatever, you need to get that down into that optimal range. Why? Because your body is working that much harder. When the higher your BMI is, the harder your body is working. And the more adipose cells that we have in our body, the harder our body is working. And it is detrimental. It is proven by science. It is all of those things, right? So once again, the importance of bringing all of that back. How do we balance that, right? We help out our liver. We help out our digestion. We severely improve our sleep. And when we're able to do that, then our hormones can start functioning, right? Do we need to help our hormones out? It's very important to actually get there. Sean's asking, between the BMI and the ideal body composition. Honestly, I'm not that great with ideal body composition, but I do know that, we want to make sure we have, good quality muscle structure, right? Our muscle and our bone, right? So we can look at our DEXA scans for the bones, which is good. But knowing that the percentage of fat on our body is in an optimal range, right? Women are meant to have a little more fat on their body, but that doesn't mean that we need to be large and robust with a lot of adipose tissue, and so whatever we can do to help our bodies to decrease that, it is a fact, right? You become healthier. It helps your cardiovascular system. It helps your hormone system. It helps your emotional. It helps every part of the body. And so it is really important, right? Sleep, exercise, and what we put in our bodies. So important. So, and if you don't know where to start, ask somebody, and if you're not ready, if things aren't perfect, guess what? Nothing is going to be perfect, right? Perfection is really just the biggest form of procrastination. And when I heard that a while ago, I was like, that's been me my entire life, right? Procrastination is the biggest form, or perfection is the biggest form of procrastination. And so just start, right? Start where you're at. If you don't even walk 500 feet in a day, work on walking 500 feet in a day, right? If you are unable to give yourself 30 minutes a day to work on yourself, start there. Focus on finding 30 minutes in the day, even if it's 2 15-minute blocks, right? But focus on that, because the biggest and best investment that you can do is in your health, right? Because if you don't have your health, you can't help anybody else, right? As grandparents, and it's never too late to start this, right? So people that are grandparents, well, guess what? If you're not healthy, you're not able to pick up your grandbabies. You're not able to go for the walks. You're not able to interact, right? And so, but that starts when we're 20. That starts when we're 30. That starts our entire life. And there is no better time to start than right now. And so guess what? That's a reminder I get to tell myself every day because I struggle with a lot of those things. So waiting for the perfect time, guess what, folks? There is no perfect time. The perfect time is now, and every day we've got that chance to start again, to make maybe a different shift, make a better choice, right? And try not to shame ourselves for, oh, well, I screwed up yesterday. Well, guess what? Today's a new day. I can start again. I can start 5 minutes ago, and 5 minutes from now. So that was a big soapbox of there is no better time to start than now. And waiting for perfection does not help you. So just kind of, and I guess that kind of goes, I tie that into, I listened to episode 645 yesterday with Sean and Janet, and they had a lady, Lori Krajewski, on the podcast. I highly recommend everybody take a listen to it. It just resonated with me really well because it went to a lot of the root cause of things, right? For the people that are doing everything right and still not seeing improvements that they want, right? We're eating right, we're moving right, we're doing all the things, we're getting the good sleep. We also need to be aware of our environment, right? We are so inundated by the toxins in our environment. Our body is constantly in fight mode. And so I think people need to look into that, right? One of the questions was, well, where are all these, why are we getting bombarded by toxins? Where are the largest amount of toxins? And her answer was exactly like what I've said before and what I've been learning a lot of, right? The air, food, water, and soil, right? Those four things, we're inundated with it, right? And so we just need to be aware, looking at our water, the water that we drink, the water that we bathe in, if we can work on getting filtration systems, looking at the homes that we live in, for mold, right? There are so many sneaky things out there that we have become accustomed to, and because they're normal, those are the things that are really harming us. And so, it's expensive to buy the water filtration systems. Yes, it's expensive to buy the shower head filters, whatever that looks like, but make that investment, because once again, those are investments in your health. And without our health, we have nothing. And so those are important things there. I know where I live, it's, I mean, you can tell by the paneling, gosh only knows what's in these walls and all of those things, right? So getting things looked at that, that are in our environment, I think are very important. So do that for yourselves, do that for your family, right? And I think, and I guess that just kind of leads in, gifts that we give each other, right? I try to give, like, come Christmas time, my poor family gets inundated with whatever it is I'm going down the rabbit hole that year. We've done the grounding sheets, water filters, just changing, the quality of our linens, things like that. So look into that. Food for thought, something to talk about and bring up. So I don't know. I really enjoyed the episode yesterday, that 6:45 on Health Solutions with Sean and Janet. It was just really good. And it was just helped bring a lot more awareness of, even though we're doing a lot of the things right, we still need to look at what's around us. And so very important there. And making sure that the terrain of our body, right? And so once again, going back to the liver things, right? How do we nurture our body to help the terrain, right? That our emotional terrain, our physical terrain, and, our microbiome in our guts, things like that. When those are optimal, a healthy body can't be sick. And so when we think of things from that standpoint, that adds, it decreases. I guess I don't get scared of people having a cold or things like that, because I know that I'm doing what I can for my body and its terrain so that I'm not getting, sickness. Like, I'm not scared of germs. That's part of what keeps us healthy. And so, but honoring and working on the terrain of our body, as opposed to just, hitting the symptoms and causing the body to have to do more work, I think is very important. And so, but that's not, the life that we've all kind of grown up in. We've learned that, there's a pill for every ill. And that is not what I believe. That's not what Sean and Janet believe. It's not how a lot of the integrative health practitioners believe, right? We know that the body's job is to heal itself. And it works its butt off trying to heal itself. And so guess what? If you're having a lot of symptoms of any sort, that is your body. That is your check engine, lights. That is your body screaming at you that it needs some assistance. So I highly recommend reaching out to your practitioners, looking for some integrative practitioners, wellness coaches, things like that, to help get more to the root cause. Our medical providers in North America are not really trained that way. So I don't disparage them for that. It's like, we can only learn what we can learn. And I question a lot about what I've learned throughout the years. And, a lot of people didn't have answers for a lot of the questions that I asked, because I did want to get to the root cause. And so I hope that has helped some people, bring some awareness, find some rabbit holes to go down, educate yourself. If you have questions, send us some messages. You can reach me at winningwellnessllc.com. I'm more than happy to do some free consultations there. And then, talk to your providers. Message us on Facebook, on TikTok, wherever you're at. Send us some messages, give us some information, and we'll do our best to help you or point you in the right direction to find somebody in your area that can help you. So I certainly appreciate everybody coming on. Yeah, I made it through another half hour, so this is exciting. And, just got a question here right at the end about chest pain, especially with physical activity. We need to look at, a lot of things going on in your body, right? Obviously, your cells are not functioning optimally. And so we need to kind of look at those things. So that's not really just a question that can be answered. Just here's the answer, right? Because everybody is individual. So more information is needed. And I'm more than happy to work with people on that. So I hope everybody has an awesome day. Join us again next Tuesday, 9 a.m. for live Q&A with the pharmacist. I'm Dr. Sarah Morrissey with Moses Lake Professional Pharmacy and Winning Wellness. So I hope you all have a great day. Thanks.